It's coffee time, it's coffee time, it's the One Pot Chef drinking coffee in time. And that's still crap. Welcome to Coffee Time, the fortnightly chat show here on the OnePotChefBlog, where I answer questions sent in by you. And if you've got a question for the next edition of Coffee Time, then simply leave it in the comments section below this video on YouTube. Now, before we get to the questions, just a quick little announcement. The next edition of Coffee Time is actually due in 2 weeks. However, I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks because I'm actually going to be on an airplane over to Los Angeles to do some filming for Tastemade, and I probably won't have a chance to film a Coffee Time while I'm over there. So the next edition of Coffee Time is going to be delayed by a couple of weeks, so it probably won't be until sometime around the 20th of February, roughly. But please don't worry, just continue to put your questions in there. I'll get to them when I get back. Just a little delay, but then we'll be back to normal with the fortnightly videos. Alright guys, in the meantime, let's get on to some questions. So, where are we? Okay, first one comes from Cons Customs 1. He's given me quite a few questions. Okay, first things first. White milk or dark chocolate? Well, I don't mind white chocolate. It's a little sweet sometimes, so I don't tend to eat it very often. Milk chocolate tends to be my sort of one to go for just for eating, and I almost always use dark chocolate when baking. I just find it works so much better when doing sort of baked goods, cakes, cookies, things like that. It just seems to have a better flavour. What was your favourite subject at school? I don't know, probably science. I was also really good at French in high school. Probably a toss-up between French and science. That being said, I can barely speak a lick of French these days, so it goes to show when you don't use something every day, it sort of goes. What's one of the scariest things you've ever done? Probably crashing the car last year, to be honest, because I think I did a video about that last year when, it was slippery road and I was going through a roundabout and I lost control of the car and smashed straight into a guardrail. I wasn't hurt, no one else was hurt, no other cars were involved, but it was pretty scary to suddenly just have the car just suddenly lose control and skid and bang, like, ooh, yuck. Gives me the shakes just thinking about it. Who in your life has influenced you the most? Probably when it comes to cooking and stuff, I would say my mum. I mean, she was an absolutely phenomenal cook, and she taught me a lot of amazing dishes, and I still use many of her recipes today, so she's probably my biggest influence. If you were a type of animal, what would you be and why? Oh, God, I hate those kind of questions because they always sort of have a weird psychological component. If you say, like, I don't know, I wish I was a tiger, people will go, oh, he's very dominant, isn't he? He's trying to sort of take over everything. They always do those in job interviews. I remember somebody job interview asked me what kind of a cookie would I want to be, or some other nonsense, or if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? And I'm there sort of going, I'm here for a job, like, what possible relevance could this have? Do you see how I dodged that question totally? I have no idea. Probably a cat. Let's see psychoanalyze that. What are some of your major life goals? I don't know. I guess just to sort of keep a roof over my head and belly full and try to enjoy myself, I guess. Sort of, I'd like to get back into writing and do some more books because I haven't done a new book for quite some time, so I don't know, maybe get a bit of free time. That'd be nice. That'd be a great goal. Zaki1 and 2. What is the craziest food you've ever eaten? P.S. You are sexy. Oh, thank you. You need your eyes testing. Craziest food I've ever eaten. I must admit, I'm not one of those people who really goes into eating the weirdo sort of food and sort of crushed up bug pate and all that sort of stuff. Although my dad, funny that I mentioned pate, my dad at Christmas got these weird pates from the Aldi supermarket that they had on special. One was venison and the other was wild boar. And the funny thing was he was on about this for days and days before Christmas, but then when it came round to it, he totally forgot he had them. And it wasn't until the other day he noticed they were still in the fridge. So he was sitting there eating it. As I say, I don't really go for really weirdo food, although I'm trying to think of anything that might have been considered rather odd, but I think I must be a bit boring like that. I'll get back to you. 333DFG. Have you heard of Jolene Sugarbaker, and if so, have you watched any of her cooking videos? No, I don't think I've heard of her. I'll have to look her up. What, Jolene Sugarbaker? I hope that's her real name, because that's awesome. Otherwise, yeah, does she do a lot of sort of pastries and stuff? That would be a really cool name to have if you were like a pastry chef, Sugarbaker. Cyborg Cat. This is totally random, but what the hell? What do you think of Lady Gaga? I don't mind some of her music. I've got a few of her songs on my iTunes, but I can't sort of honestly say I'd ever want to dress like her or go to any of her concerts. Like, I don't mind her music, but she's not bad. I don't know how else to put it. Let's see. ASMR Badger. Do you like Lord of the Rings trilogy, and will you watch The Hobbit? If so, I'm gonna cop such crap over this. I have not watched one of the Lord of the Rings movies. Not one of them. I did try to watch the first one when it came out on video years ago, but I fell asleep after about 20 minutes. It really isn't my style of film. I'm really not into those kind of movies, so I don't see myself going and seeing The Hobbit. I'm going to cop so much crap saying that. I wouldn't say that it was boring. It's just really not my style of films. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say. Avoir Short. Hello there. Have you ever found a huntsman spider in your home? And if so, are you frightened of them? Did you kill it or run for dear life? Huntsman spiders are pretty common in Australia, and yeah, we get them occasionally in the house. They're sort of biggish sort of things. Generally, they're not actually don't attack people or anything. They're actually quite good to have because they actually go and eat other pests, like sort of other bugs in the house, like cockroaches or whatever. So we try to avoid hurting them, but if they happen to be in my, say, like my bedroom or the bathroom or something like that, it's kind of like difficult. You kind of like, yeah, it has to leave the house one way or the other. So generally my other half is the spider disposer of it because, yeah, I no. I don't need to go near them. I don't care if it won't attack me. If it can hiss and attack me, I don't want to know. Mr. Simon Peters 97. Why don't you cook some Latino food? I'm not really familiar with Latino food, to be honest, but as I say, I'm going over to LA in a couple of weeks, so chances are I'll probably get a chance to sample some firsthand, so it'll be very nice. I'd love to try some ceviche. It's not something that you see in Australia at all, really. I've never seen it on a menu anyway, at least not any of the restaurants I've been to recently, so it'd be nice to try the real thing, so that'll be good. Ms. Spark 111. Oh, goodness, she's asked a lot of questions. Okay. Will you participate in Come Dine With Me Australia? I love that show. If you haven't seen Come Dine With Me Australia, you need to check it out. That being said, I wouldn't be caught dead on that show. It's a great show, but I don't think I could fit in with the people that they have on that show because people on that show are invariably awful. I was watching the first episode of the new series last night, and I think without a doubt, every single person they had on there was just fundamentally unlikable. They were just horrible, horrible people. And I couldn't imagine anything worse than spending a week going to a bunch of horrible people's houses eating god-awful food from people who are just generally good. Yeah, so I couldn't see myself going on that show. I'd definitely like to watch it. But, my God, there's some horrible crap that they cook up on there. My God, they made this garlic ice cream with bloody pan-fried pancetta on top of it last night. I nearly gagged. Ugh. What's your next question? Do you like Indian food? I'm not a major fan of Indian food. I don't mind a curry now and again, but I can't say, like, if I was going to say, oh, let's go out to a restaurant, Indian would probably not be the top of my list. But I don't mind a curry occasionally, something mild. What cheese is your favourite cheese? Oh, good question. This Christmas I've been having a cheese thing. I always get cheese at Christmas, like different types and crackers and fruit and things to go with it. And I found this beautiful smoked cheddar. Absolutely gorgeous. And been eating it probably non-stop, well not non-stop, but I've been eating it over the last couple of weeks since Christmas, and it's absolutely stunning. Goes well with crackers, and it's got that sort of sharp flavour, but it's nice and soft. It was really, really nice. So, yeah. Other than that, I don't mind a bit of brie or a nice vintage cheddar. I like all sorts of different kinds of cheese. What is your favourite colour? I don't have a favourite colour. Everyone asks me, what's your favourite colour? And I've never had a favourite colour. I don't think I must be one of those rare people that just doesn't glom onto one particular colour. But if I had a gun to my head and had to choose, I'd probably say blue. But I don't know. I don't have a favourite colour. What is your favourite fruit? I like all sorts of kind of fruit. Probably bananas, because there's just so many different things you can do with them. I also like rambutans when they're in season, which is like an Indonesian version of a lychee. It's got lots of fur on the outside. They are absolutely delicious. But yeah, mango is nice as well. I just did a dessert video recently with some mango in it, which will be going up in a few weeks' time. And oh, yum. What is your favourite cartoon character as a child, and do you watch cartoons as an adult? Probably as a child, it would be Bugs Bunny. I mean, Bugs Bunny was on all the time, and I just loved Bugs Bunny cartoons. I tend to watch the more adult-skewed cartoons these days, things like Family Guy, American Dad and whatnot. Not so much The Simpsons these days. I've kind of gone off it. It's just, I think it's sort of past its prime. But yeah, I still watch cartoons. A couple more from Miss Spark. Are you upset when you make a yummy dish and the guest does not compliment your food? They're asking for triple helpings but refuse to compliment. Has this ever happened to you? Not really. Generally, it's sort of... it's probably not me being really big-headed, what I'm about to say, but I've never had an issue with people sort of saying, oh, this is fantastic, I really enjoyed this, or whatever. And it's not me being big-headed. I think it's more just sort of people being polite. Like, if you get invited around to somebody's house to eat and they give you nice food, the very least you should do is say, wow, this is really tasty, or whatever. I don't think I've ever had a situation where somebody just didn't actually say anything about it. Like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that happen. What was the first dish that you ever cooked with your mother? I have no idea. Too long ago, because like I was cooking with my mum when I was like 4 or 5, so I have no idea. I have a vague recollection of making some god-awful thing that I saw on the TV, sweet potatoes, not actual sweet potatoes like yams or anything, but it was like a dessert thing, and they were made to look like potatoes, and they were dusted with cocoa to make it look like they were covered in dirt, and they were awful and ludicrously sweet. And I think I had like coconut and condensed milk and stuff, and I don't know. I don't really remember exactly what went into it, but I remember making that with Mum. But I have no idea. That was I couldn't honestly tell you. I don't know. Years ago. Too old. Mrs. Fufu. Hello, Mrs. Fufu. Do you have brothers and sisters? Yes, I've got 2 sisters, both older than me. And can you tell us what Australian chocolate bars you have, the most popular regular ones, and or the ones that have been going for years and that are your favourites? I've had a lot of people ask me this, actually, because a lot of people sort of say, so like, because I've been doing these taste test videos recently, oh, why did you do one about Australia? And I wasn't sure exactly how to do an Australian taste test ones, because like the whole basis of the taste test things is that I'm generally trying things that I've never tried before. And the problem with doing Australian stuff is that I have tried them before, so it kind of loses something, but there seems to be a lot of people who wants me to do the Australian candy bars and food, so I will I will consider doing it. I'll probably have to wait until I get back from Los Angeles. But yeah, if there's enough people out there who want to see Australian chocolate bars in a taste test video, I'll probably do it. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Spazamaz, hello there. How did you spend your Christmas and New Year, and did you enjoy it? I can honestly say I'm really glad Christmas is over, because like it's been going since like, I don't know, July. It was insane. Like every supermarket I went to had things like fruit mince pies and Christmas decorations and all this sort of crap from like July, and it was just insane. And what made it even more bizarre was Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. I went to the supermarket to grab some milk, and they already had hot cross buns for Easter in the day after Christmas. And I'm just going like, that's ludicrous. It's utterly ridiculous. So as for Christmas itself, spent the day with my family over at my dad's place. It's traditional. We go over there. We have a nice big lunch. We don't do presents in our family. We tend to go and buy scratch-it lotteries, and we exchange those in Christmas cards. And so we sit there trying to see who wins the most money, and whoever does wins Christmas. I know that's not really the spirit of the season, but still. The joy of atheism. As for New Year, I don't think I actually did anything for New Year. I think I just stayed in, maybe watched a movie or something. I can't remember, because I don't generally go out for New Year's anymore. I used to when I was sort of in my late teens and early 20s, but like, yeah, I'm just not that fussed on doing that anymore. So like, I'm quite happy to just sit at home with a book or watching a movie or something. I'm kind of boring these days. That being said, I don't remember it being an adversely horrible time, so I must have enjoyed it. So yeah, Jolly Kill Bill 44. Do you watch or like Doctor Who? I both watch and like Doctor Who. I've been watching Doctor Who since I was yay high to a grasshopper. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the new episodes coming out in a few months' time. I actually went and bought a couple of Doctor Who DVDs, classic Doctor Who, yesterday. I went and bought the Legacy box set and Planet of Giants, so very old Doctor Who there. I was sitting there watching them last night because it was ridiculously hot yesterday. It was like 44 degrees and the temperature didn't drop until like about 1 AM. So I just parked myself in front of the air conditioner and watched Doctor Who. It was a wonderful way to ride out the heat. Imezimel? I hope I'm saying that right. Pardon me. Do you have any special brand of knives that you swear by? Greetings from Norway. Not really, no. I tend to sort of just buy just a standard set of knives, usually nothing terribly expensive, and I just get them sharpened occasionally. But I've never gone for particular brand names or anything like that. I'm sure there are some wonderful sort of branded types of knives, but to be honest, I've never felt the need to go and spend sort of hundreds or even thousands of dollars on a proper knife set, because I trash them. Like, I use knives all the time, so like, it's not the kind of thing that I could sort of justify spending a huge amount of money on, so I'll just go and buy some cheapo knives and just keep them in relatively good condition and replace them as needed. As a Productions MI, what is your favourite Motown group? Oh, I don't know, there's so many. Probably Martha and the Vandellas. You can't get past Heatwave, although admittedly Heatwave yesterday would have been highly inappropriate. But yeah, yeah, there's just so many great sort of, especially the girl groups of Motown back in those days. It was some fantastic music, and even today, like that music hasn't really dated. It's just, it's got a buzz to it, and it's boppy, and it's really enjoyable, and you can still dance to it, and I think that's great. So, yeah, so good old Martha. Next question. I find it such an odd thought that Australia and countries of the like spend their holidays in warm months. Do you find it stereotypical that Christmas movies are typically set during the winter? I was thinking about it a few nights ago and it drove me crazy. Love you, One Pot Chef. This is from Wendy2584. I don't think it's stereotypical, because most of those movies are made in countries where they do have snow and stuff in winter. But yeah, I never really thought of it as anything other than normal, because, like, as I say, I live in Australia and it's normal for it to be stinking hot at Christmas and not to have sort of snow bucketing down or anything like that, because that's just perfectly normal for me. I find the idea of it snowing at Christmas to be a very alien concept. But as I say, like, because a lot of those movies and TV shows are made in countries where it is normal for it to snow at Christmas, I don't see it as being any more unusual than sort of being sunshiny at Christmas. So, yeah. Cool Daddy Day, are you gay? Well, if I'm not, I've disappointed a lot of men out there, including my partner. Yes, I am definitely gay. Well, if I was paid enough, I'm sure I could put it in a splint. But that's another story. What am I saying? Next question. Emu Unlim. What is your favourite and worst recipe to create in 2012? Were the Mayans wrong? Well, we're still here, aren't we? So the Mayans must have been wrong. Although I know the Mayans weren't actually predicting anything. It's just silly archaeologists misinterpreting things. Favourite recipe for 2012 was probably the chocolate mousse cake, simply because it was so amazing. It was so stupidly simple to make. I mean, it's like 4 ingredients or something to it, but it was sensational. And every time I've made it, like I made it for a video, and one of my friends asked me to make it for their birthday, and I've made it about 6 or 7 times since I made it a few months ago, because everyone wants a slice of this mousse cake. So, yeah. Pardon me. Get some water into me. It's still quite warm today. Very refreshing. What was the other question again? My brain hurts. Oh, the worst recipe for 2012. Oh, well, that's probably the video that will never see the light of day. That was the infamous pizza roll video, which ended up getting abandoned halfway being recorded. I found a recipe in one of my really, really old cookbooks for something called pizza roll. And basically what it was is you take a loaf of bread and you cut the end off, one unsliced loaf of bread, cut the end off, scoop out the bread from the centre so you've got like a container, and you stuff the bread with different types of meat, cheese, onions, garlic, tomato, just basically pizza type fillings. And then you put the lid on the end and shove it in the oven to bake it. And what it's supposed to come out like is sort of like a pizza flavoured meatloaf with a bread crust, and you slice it into pieces and serve it cold. That's what it was supposed to be like. What it turned into was this horrible crispy garbage on the outside that was utterly inedible. The interior didn't cook, so it was pretty much just raw meat. And despite multiple attempts to try and correct this and make alterations to the recipe to try and make it work, it just would not work, and I failed at it and ended up having to chuck it out because it was just totally inedible towards the end. That was probably the one and only major problem that I had this year, and it's probably the most catastrophic recipe screw-up I've had in the entire time I've been making videos on YouTube. But, yeah, that was probably the best and the worst. Fly Lady 13. Any closer to making Coffee Time podcasts? I looked into it. I decided against it for 2 reasons. One was that it was just going to be time-consuming doing both a YouTube version and a podcast version. But the other problem is that my audience is on YouTube. And by doing it on, say, iTunes or another sort of podcast distribution network, I'd have to rebuild a new audience, because not everyone is going to jump over from YouTube to go and get the podcast version. Maybe a few people will. And so it's just basically doing a whole bunch of extra work for really no major sort of comeback. And of course, when I do the podcasts, unlike on YouTube, they're not monetizable. So I do this for a living, so I do need to sort of make some kind of money. So yeah, so doing it on YouTube is obviously more advantageous to me. But if I can find a way of doing podcasts in the future where sort of all of those sort of criteria are fitting, it probably will happen, but not at this point. Efefi, I hope I'm saying that right. I am interested with the topic of water in Australia. I went to Melbourne and the tap water was fine, but when I went to Perth, the tap water was salty. Why is that? Probably all the sand. Sorry, inside joke. Nico will kill me. No, well, I don't know, to be honest. I think sort of tap water varies from place to place in Australia as it does anywhere else. I must admit I don't drink tap water anymore. I drink bottled water exclusively, mainly because the local water supply is really, really bad. It's actually damaged my teeth. So, other than that, yeah, I just tend to stick to the bottled water because, yeah, it wasn't very nice to begin with anyway, but when my teeth started crumbling, that was a bad sign, so, yeah. Next question, Killing 4B Flowers. What do you think of Gillard? I try to avoid getting involved in political discussions because, frankly, I think I'm with Billy Connolly, who said, don't vote, it only encourages them. And I couldn't agree more. I can't say I'm a major fan of Gillard, but then again, if I had to flip a coin between sort of Gillard and Tony Abbott, I would choose Gillard every single time because Tony Abbott's just out of his mind. Like having an ultra-conservative lunatic like that, especially given the team that he brings as an alternative government. I mean, Joe Hockey, I mean, seriously, he couldn't run a Lamington Drive, but you've got to expect him to control the whole economy and keep us out of debt. Yeah, good luck. And as for Shark Bitch, what's her bloody name? Oh, God, I can't remember. The one with the Jedi stare that wants to kill people. I can't remember her name. Yeah, ugh. Yeah, who's voting for these people? Like, really? Yeah, Gillard, as I say, I'm not a major fan, but that being said, should better the devil you know. That's the way I put it. Were you the founding father of cooking videos online? I don't know if I would call myself the founding father. I was definitely the first person in Australia to make a dedicated cooking channel. I think there were a few people who had made the occasional cooking video here and there, but I was definitely the first to have an actual 100% dedicated cooking channel. A lot of people often think that it was Nico who was first, and the reason is that his channel, my channel was made in, I think it was November 2007, and I think Rob's channel was about a year older than mine, and so people just assumed that he was first, but what actually happened was his channel, before he started doing cooking videos, I think he said he made videos about football or something. I can't remember. I didn't know him back then. But he ended up deleting all of his videos when he started doing cooking videos, and that was about 6 or 7 months after I started making cooking videos. So, yeah. As for the rest of the world, I think there was definitely cooking videos out there. I think other people were there, but from overseas, but I was definitely the first in Australia that I know of. Yeah, so, I don't know. Jester Monkey, do you have any pets? If so, what type? I got one. I've got a cat, Topaz. She appears on the blog channel occasionally, sort of, she's totally out of her mind, but other than that, she's a lovely little kitty, and currently scratching at my door. I think actually she's like a dog sometimes. Sergeant Smith 2012. Hi, my name is Captain Trent. Love your show. First question is, are there American cars where you live? Well, there probably is, but the majority... I'm not a big car sort of person, so I don't know a lot about cars, but I'll tell you this. The majority of cars in Australia are either Australian-built or they are designed and built overseas, usually Asia. Places like Japan or Korea, but there are a few Australian cars here, and they're mostly imports. They're not sort of a standard sale item here, but the two major manufacturers of cars in Australia are Holden and Ford. It's kind of funny. They're both American-owned companies, but the bizarre thing is that most Australians are convinced that they're actually Australian companies. And so they often talk about sort of like the great Australian brands like Ford and Holden. I'm going, neither of them are Australian, but there's no explaining that. Second question is, what is it hot? Was it hot in December? Yes, because it was summer, so average temperature was somewhere between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. It's just coming into early January now, and it was like 44 degrees yesterday, so it was... Well, I think 44 degrees here is about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So, for those of you who are trying to figure that one out. So ludicrously hot and around about 85% humidity. So third question, do you listen to American music? I don't listen to a lot of current, like, top 40 music or anything like that these days. Personally, I think I've become a bit of an old man, but I do listen to a fair amount of American music, sort of older style stuff. Oh, Miss Spark again. How do you take care of your teeth? What is your routine? Just asking because you eat a lot of chocolate and your teeth look pretty good. Thank you very much. I don't think I do anything particularly unusual. I sort of brush them, and I've got, instead of floss, I use these things called pixters, which are like little tiny bottle brushes which you sort of put between your teeth and get rid of any gunk that accumulates during the day, and a bit of mouthwash. Yeah, I just recently had a bit of dental surgery. I had to get rid of a couple of teeth at the back because they were damaged by the local water supply, not to do with the chocolate that I eat, because I tend to be pretty good with sort of brushing and whatnot, but yeah, the water supply had a lot of sort of limestone and gunk and whatever in it, and it just seemed to just crack my teeth really badly. So all seems to be taken care of now. I hear you're coming to the USA. If you're coming to stay, are you going to still make videos? Well, I'm going over there to film a series, a spin-off series of my cooking show, doing that at the Tastemade Studios. But I'll probably be making a few blog videos while I'm over there, just sort of restaurants that I go to, things that I see while I'm there. I'm sort of not exactly sure how much filming I'll get to do while I'm over there, because I have a very tight schedule, but I'll try to do a few little videos here and there where I can. So yeah, it should be interesting. Oh, Miss Spark again. Can you do a taste test of Mallow Mars marshmallow cookie coated with melted chocolate? Sounds good. I've never seen them here before, but I'll see if I can find them. It should be interesting. Sounds like something nice, because it sounds like a wagon wheel. That's what we had over here, that's sort of a cookie with marshmallow coated in chocolate. Sweet or sour? I guess it depends. I like them both. Probably sweet more than sour, but yeah, sort of, I guess it depends on what context. Uh-oh, Sprint King 76. Oh dear God. At this festive time of year when the gin and tonics are flowing, we all need real jokes in our Christmas bonbons rather than the repetitive dribble we tend to get. Let us begin a list of bonbon jokes that real families will enjoy. What? Why does Santa have such a big sack? Because he only comes once a year. Oh dear. What's the difference between a freezer and a... Yeah, I'm not reading that one. I think I'll remove that one. God. Appalling. I'm not reading that out. I'm not falling for your shenanigans. Draw Muhammad. How do I know if I'm gay? I think the most important thing you need to know is that a lot of people have got it into their minds that you have to have a label. It's very sort of important in society these days that everything has to be labelled, and I've never subscribed to that theory, is that human sexuality is very fluid. Some people are exclusively gay, some people are exclusively straight, and then there are other people who are very fluid and can go between the two, and it's not necessarily bisexual, it's just sort of like they generally identify with straight, but then occasionally they like to do stuff with someone of the same sex. I mean, I don't think it's necessary to sort of label yourself as being gay or straight or anything like that. And personally, I've never understood why it's so important for people to have these labels. But I think the easiest way to know is if you sort of feel attracted to people of the same sex, if you sort of generally consider that to be the thing that you would enjoy doing, even if you haven't actually done it or not, I guess that's the only way to know. It's just one of those things that you either know or you don't. And it can be a little confusing, especially if you're young. But as I say, it's just one of those things that you will work out eventually. Don't feel that you necessarily have to do anything in order to prove anything to anyone or to yourself. Just go with it and see what happens. And if it feels right, it feels right. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just because you happen to do something, like if you go ahead and have sex with someone of the same gender as you, that doesn't make you gay. Like, just because you happen to have done it once doesn't label you gay forever. So, yeah, so as I say, don't panic and don't worry about it. And if you are sort of having any kind of problems with dealing something like that, there are lots of counselling services out there that you can talk to that can give you advice and help you work through it. I hope that answers your question. What's the next one? Hannah198624. My question is, what are your 3 kitchen utensils you could simply not live without? And did you know that if you use an arrow key on your keyboard when watching a YouTube video, you can play Snake? I've heard of that and I couldn't get it to work on mine. 3 kitchen utensils you could simply not live without. Well, can opener, I suppose, because I use them quite regularly. Probably my rotary cheese grater, because I use it for all sorts of things. I use it for cheese, I use it for grating chocolate. What else do I use? Probably my measuring spoons, because like I use them. I've got a set of beautiful measuring spoons and I use them on a regular basis because I often estimate things and I usually estimate it wrong, so I do tend to do a bit of measuring now and again. God, I wish the temperature would drop. Next question is Tony the Night Owl. How long have you and your partner been together, and would you ever consider a civil union to make it official? Brian and I have been together for almost 10 years. 10 years this year, actually. Probably no. We probably wouldn't do the civil union to make it official because we talked about it in the past, sort of marriage and civil unions and things like that. And to be honest, it's really not that necessary. Like, apart from the fact that in Australia the laws are confusing and contradictory, like they can recognise our relationship in certain ways but not in others, and it just, yeah, it doesn't really mean much in Australia these days. But if we got proper full marriage equality at some point, we'd probably revisit the issue, but I honestly don't see it happening simply because it's just not necessary. We know who we are and we know what our relationship is, and we don't necessarily need a bit of paper to prove that. I think it's just what we are is what we are. So yeah, we'll figure it out eventually when they actually get around to sort of treating us like equal people. Like, they don't mind taking my tax money, but God forbid they should make things equal for me. Jack Wilkins, do you or did you ever have a favourite Spice Girl? Mine is Sporty. I can honestly say I used to be a Spice Girls fan. Please don't vomit. Back many years ago, yeah. Probably Emma Bunton, Baby Spice. But, yeah, I don't know. I just sort of, yeah. I haven't thought about the Spice Girls for a very long time. My God, that's sad. It's up there with Aqua as those embarrassing things from the past that sort of come back to haunt you. Baron Betty, do you like Elvis Presley's music? Do you play piano or guitar? I have no musical abilities whatsoever. I did try to learn the piano when I was a child, but I was just rubbish at it. I have no musical skills. As for Elvis's music, I don't mind it. I don't necessarily sort of fall over myself to play it, but it's all right. So it's not one of my favourites, though. Let's see. Killing Forby Flowers. You know how Nico made KFC chicken. Do you reckon Colonel Sanders may have given him the recipe? I also heard a rumour on YouTube that he contributed one of the spices to the 11 Herbs and Spices. Can you confirm that? I think you'd have to ask Nico that one, I think. Is Rob J. Nixon related to the late President Nixon of the USA? It would explain a lot, but that's another story. Coming up to the last question. Is Steve Irwin still around these days? I watched a movie with him in it, and I'm thinking of coming to Aussie or to Australia to watch one of his shows. I'm afraid Steve Irwin's dead. He died a couple of years ago in an accident with a stingray. But, yeah, I think his zoo's still up and running, and you could go and check out the zoo. I think it's called Australia Zoo in Queensland, and his wife and family and whatnot still run it. So, yeah. Well, that was a rather odd ending to coffee time, wasn't it? Nothing like a death and a stingray to bring us down. Alright guys, well, thank you very much for watching. Again, if you've got questions for the next edition, please leave them in the comment section below here on YouTube. I will see you in about a month's time with coffee time. Hopefully, if all things go according to plan, if the plane makes it to LA and, yeah, happiness prevails. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Lots of love to you all, and I'll talk to you later.